Welcome to the Blackout podcast where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today, man, I fucking love the hair.
My man.
I'm so happy to have my friend, artist. Wait, is he Dungeon? DM
Yeah,
Dungeon Master?
Dungeon Master, Game Master.
Exactly, Game Master. Super awesome, talented artist, Nicolae. Thanks for coming to the podcast today.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
First off, I want to say your set of Music Week was dope.
Thank you very much.
I loved it. And initially when we met at the ANSMA, also congratulations on your ANSMA Award nominee. Oh my God, I didn't even say ANSMA Award nominated artist.
Yeah.
We met there, talked a bit, but then I was like, okay, cool. You're trying to describe what your music is like. I had an idea, but then I listened to it, I was like, oh, I get what you're trying to talk about. So let's start with the music. How did you get to, where's the music? What's your musical background?
I mean, extensive. I've been playing music my entire life. I was deaf until I was 3 years old because I had these really bad ear infections. So I actually remember the first time I heard my grandmother playing piano, and just I've watched her and stood by a couple of times, but one of my first memories is being kind of amazed suddenly by the sounds and the music. And several years later, I went downstairs at my grandparents, and my uncle was playing a drum set, and he sat me up. I was really interested in it. He sat me up there. My feet didn't even touch the pedals at this point, but he taught me a little beat and a fill, and from there on I was pretty hooked with the drums, with music in general. I grew up as soon as band was an option in grade 6. I wanted to be a drummer, a percussionist. Followed with that all through grade school. Ended up going to Mount Allison, studied a couple of years of classical music.
Mount Allison is in
New Brunswick.
Yeah.
In a town called Sackville, not too far away, about 2.5 hours away. But after a couple years there... Wait, did you say you
started classical music?
Yeah.
So wait, there's a lot of shit, right? Yeah. Operas, not operas, Mozart and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Western art music, I guess, is the sort of technical term.
Why did you decide to study that?
Well, it's just kind of what I had been doing with, in junior high and high school band. But the thing was, I never really wanted to go to school. I played in a band with some homies. We did a lot of alternative rock and punk rock, and I really wanted to do a little bit more of that, but my parents wanted me to go to school, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go study music. And I just kind of last minute hopped in. They didn't have enough percussionists there, so it was pretty easy for me to sign up. So once I'm there, I'm starting to play a lot of... I always loved playing the timpani, the really big, really deep drums.
Yeah.
But also marimba.
No. Yeah, I'm thinking of the one at the island. No, it's the ting. Is it deep one?
Deep, yeah. So I was playing with some orchestras and symphonies there.
Okay, thank you. You're mentioning this. Let me know, cause everybody has sheet music. Mm-hmm. What does the sheet music for the drummer look like? Are there places on the drum that's do and re, and you know what I mean?
Well, when you're playing timpanis in particular, they are tuned drums, and the tuning is very important.
That is wild! I'm like, what are you reading? And they're reading the thing and boom, boom, and they're flipping. What are you doing?
Well, it's the rhythms too, right?
Oh!
So it's the note values in terms of the quarter notes and the eighth notes and the dotted eighth notes and all that. So you need to know the rhythms. But with the timpani, it is pretty important that you have a solid tuning on them as well. So for instance, there will be some circumstances where you are playing 4 timpanis, and for certain sections of the song you're playing these two, but at the same time you know that you need to play these two, so you're switching down there. and then for say the third movement of the tune, the piece, you have to have different notes on here. So you're playing down here, but they have foot pedals, so you're like second note up there.
Wild to me,
I love
man.
playing symphony. It was
That
honestly
is so
my favorite
fucking
part.
cool, man.
Yeah.
That is so cool. You know, like I'm always, what are you reading? But also, how that shit is difficult, yeah, to read, to learn how to read it.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially though if you are playing drum set, because it's not just like you have like all these different symbols, like little like triangle marks and little X marks, not just like the circular kind of oval like usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the drum set in particular, I guess, is a little bit probably the most confusing for people who are like, you know, used to reading music, but going and
That
trying
is so
to
cool.
see
So
percussion
how long
stuff.
did you study for, and how was the experience studying that about Allison?
I mean, it was great. I really enjoyed college. You know, just normal college life was a lot of fun. But I mean, I think I started to realize in my second year there that it wasn't necessarily the route that I wanted to continue with my life. So I started considering switching to maybe go to St. FX, where they had a jazz program. A lot of it was like learning all this stuff, which is amazing, these really amazing composers, but they were, you know, I was really kind of radicalized in high school and kind of started seeing it through this lens of like learning the music of the oppressors,
Right.
which wasn't necessary. So I was like, I'm just going to go learn jazz. Didn't end up doing that, but I switched going to NSCC because I had some buddies who were studying there. And they had a really cool music arts program. They still do. It's probably only better now, but it was great to have a program which was significantly cheaper, for one thing, but also got you, like, it treated it less academically, more like a trade.
Oh, like super practical, hands-on type thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And I was able to focus on being behind a drum set more, which is what I really loved.
What do you love about the drums?
I think I've always been big on the idea of kind of like having an ability to multitask, but also to you're like the heartbeat of a band. Like I've always loved like team sports, but not necessarily like for the athleticism. Like I've always loved to be kind of, you know, moving and whatnot, but I think that when you're working with other people and it's really meshing, you know, everybody's on the same page and it's just hitting. Like there's such a good feeling about being in a sort of group like that. And when you're a drummer, you are sort of a conductor in the sense that, you know, symphonies need somebody to keep the heartbeat going.
Okay, so it's good you're a drummer. Like the other thing is like, you know, you play so many, you know, like there's the two and there's the thing. Like I've seen drummers with so many fucking drums and stuff, right? How do you get that coordination? Do you just fucking practice over and over again?
You just practice, yeah.
Because the coordination is
muscle
wild,
memory.
yo. And like you kind of, do you know what drum gives what sound type of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the core of any groove is always going to be the bass drum and the snare, which will like the backbeat. So you have the downbeat and the backbeat, which are always going to be what give you this kind of consistent kind of movement in a tune. Usually will be something that is like an ostinato, which is to say like something that repeats, right? And then layering on top like the hi-hat, and these are three very different sounds, but they all kind of compose what most grooves or most beats will be heavily comprised of.
The other thing, whenever I go to a show, like, why do drummers bring their snare? Is it a snare? Like, they always carry one drum. Is a snare, right?
It's the snare, yeah.
Why? Like, everything. Why do you have to bring your own? I don't. Why did they do that?
So it's a breakable. So the one thing, like you're playing it the whole time, right? It's always 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much, right? So it is probably going to be one of the things that's more likely to break. The other thing, though, is that the snare, depending on how you tune it and how tight you have the actual like snare patch on the bottom, it's going, depending on like what wood it's made of, how deep and how wide it is made, it's going to have a different sound, and it can be very kind of particular for some drummers to know that.
So
that
it's like you
backbeat is
know
gonna be
your
theirs.
thing and you bring it.
Exactly.
But they use every other one. I'm like, why did you know, like, you use every other drum, but no, you bring your own snare out. I'm like,
Right. I mean, like some snares you might have tuned really high and tight, and it's going to be like a really kind of like a sound that can cut through, if particularly if you are playing in like a 9-piece band. Like I used to play in a band called Lindsay Misiner and the Seventh Mystic, and we had usually like 8, sometimes more people on the stage. So in such a situation, you want the sound to be able to kind of pierce kind of high, cut right through, which snares are typically good for. But in other situations, you might want a sound that is like really low and just like fat, you know, just like sounds maybe what you might kind of think more with like a hip hop beat, how it just sounds like kind of crunchy.
Yeah, it's full.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I'll end my drummer questions. Like, I think the drummer, so like, one of the first concerts, like, actually, I love Linkin Park.
Yeah, no doubt.
And their drummer is, to me, is like a magician, right? Like, I mean, sure, they scratch and stuff, but what is his fucking name? I can't remember his name. But that guy does magic to the drum. Do you know another drummer I love? The drummer of Coldplay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, if I'm ever gonna learn an instrument, which I don't know if I'll ever be able to, is gonna be the piano, because it seems simple. But if I could have something that, you know, like in the Matrix, they just inject it in you and you know what to do right away, it would be the drums. It's just that I don't think I'm coordinated enough, because I've sat down there. Oh, I even forgot. You have to also control the hi-hat so it opens and closes and shit.
Yeah.
What? You're using 2 legs, 2 hands, and like, oh my God. It's
hey,
so
try
much.
singing at the same time, you know?
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that was your performance. Yo, no, you blew it out of the park.
Thank you very much. I had a ton of fun.
Okay, so you do all this, you go to school, and then at what point is it like, I'm gonna start making my own music?
I mean, I'd always played a bit of guitar and piano and loved the idea of writing my own music. Like, songwriting is, my friend Luke Chazan, he goes by Lukey, check out his music, it's also great. He's always kind of described it as like just like a creative problem solving task. And when you figure out a way to write a song lyrically and in terms of like the melody and the chords that just feels like something that's comprehensive, maybe you feel like you've done something particularly like clever with the wordplay, that, I don't know, that's always been a very rewarding feeling for me. And I started playing and trying to write songs in high school. So, like, I mean, by now I've probably started at least 100 songs that, you know, I've worked on. Some are better than others, of course. But I think in 2017, I played in a couple of different bands, but they all kind of fell apart at the same time in that year. And I had decided that I want to be a little bit less reliant on whether or not I am surrounded by people who are on the same page or as serious as I am. So I began to work. I started waiting tables, saving up money so that I could build my own studio. And after a couple years of that, it became something that I kind of put on the back burner because I was just working a lot and also practicing instruments that weren't necessarily my core instrument, like the drums, because I was always kind of concerned with being self-reliant at that point. I think I was a little bit jaded on the idea of having a band. But at the same time, when Lindsay came back to town and she wanted to put Lindsay and the Mystic back together, I was pretty stoked. We played for a couple of years before we ultimately disbanded again, but it was towards the end of our run that time that I kind of began to realize, okay, I need to start focusing on my own music again, and not just necessarily like playing scales on the guitar in my basement, but writing songs, getting some of these songs out, because if I just have a hard drive or notebooks full of lyrics that I put together, that isn't really doing anything for anybody. And I think I'm a pretty clever songwriter, so people got to hear this shit, right?
Right.
It was November 23rd. I was on the way to Music Week that year, and we were going to play. It was going to end up being our last show with the Mystic, but
which year?
What's that, sorry?
Which year?
2023.
Okay.
And I had decided to put up a song just to kind of get my Spotify artist page. But I was like, yo, this it's kind of a dope song. It's called Grateful. It was supposed to be just like a solid message to start up on, so I decided I was going to leave it up, see who I could get to listen to it. And it was when we had arrived that I'd gotten the email that it was live, that was active. And yeah, from that point on, I was like, okay, I got a couple more in the vault that I want to get out, or at least start kind of working on seeing what my sound or what my abilities, because I was engineering, mastering, mix and master and everything myself. I had just I'd been into production for a while, for a few years, but I'd never really done it for anybody else. So it was kind of experimenting, just kind of seeing what kind of feedback I'm going to get back when it's out there. And yeah.
What kind of feedback did you end up getting?
I mean, mostly good, but I've always had this idea that if you don't put anything out there, then you're not going to learn anything.
Right.
And there have been lots of opportunities for people to give me some feedback, some constructive criticism on things like my mixes and whatnot. So yeah, it's been solid. I feel like I've definitely evolved as an audio engineer and a producer in that time. Definitely kind of genre hopping, bending a little bit, because that's just my influence. I've always listened to lots of eclectic kind of sounds, or I've always had an eclectic music taste, I guess I would say. So that is all stuff I want to kind of incorporate and just make what I want to hear,
Let's talk about that performance I've been harping on about from Music Week, right? A few weeks ago. How did you prep for that, and how did it feel once you were done playing that night? And it was for the Anzma Showcase too, which is to me, and this is going to sound biased, but there are shows and shows, but that Anzma, what do they call it? Again, this person that...
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
has killed people, yeah.
I hope they can...
Oh, he's in custody now.
Hey, well, that's good news.
Yeah. So, okay, Sheldon, please cut this part out. Thank you.
You were
Fuck,
mentioning
he
about
threw me off.
Anzma.
Yeah, Anzma, yeah. What's that showcase called? The Anzma Showcase? What is it called? I think it's called the Anzma Showcase. Like,
Yeah, it was the Anzma, like the awards gala.
no. Like, for Music Week.
Oh, my bad. Black Vibes.
Black Vibes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so for Music Week, okay, Sheldon, start from here now. For Music Week, the Anzma has his own like little section called Black Vibes. That's where he played. But like that to me is the show I never miss, right? Like
Yeah,
I need to
yeah.
make sure if you're my friend and you're playing and Black Vibes is playing, I'm so
Yeah. See if I can catch 10 minutes if you're
Right,
5 minutes away.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, so how was it prepping for that show, and how did it feel once you got off the stage?
So, I mean, I did the show entirely by myself.
Which is wild.
I had considered bringing up a couple of friends to play probably bass and guitar, maybe keys. I think in an ideal world, I would hire people to play those three instruments and maybe here and there like a horn player. But so I'm using a sample pad, the SPDSX Pro. It was I had the old one. I had played a couple of gigs, mostly with Zamani, that we were using backing tracks. But I wanted to get the new one because it had some really cool, really dope features. It was definitely more complicated to set up, but it gave me more options in terms of routing so that I could offer more control to the front of house, the audio engineer controlling the front of house. So in any case, from my last shows, I had to kind of produce the stems and load them up onto the machine. I kind of started by just kind of opening up a Logic project and putting in pieces of my songs, or putting in my songs, kind of reducing some of the pieces out and making it so that I could just kind of play like back to back to back to back, because I only had 20 minutes and I wanted to play a total of 9 tunes. So I cut out a couple of like a verse and a chorus here and there, just kind of cut right through, made it so that I could kind of go in and out of songs really fluidly, as opposed to kind of spending a lot of time like bantering and introducing songs, talking about what was going on. It took me probably more time than most people just to kind of, because I had to like produce the show, right? It's not just hire people and rehearse. But in a case such as that, you save money, of course, but you also have a lot of control over everything. Playing with tracks is something that I have found fairly rewarding because you know that nobody's going to make a mistake unless I do. It's all on me, right? So if I spend the time to practice, of course, what I need to do, which I know I'm going to do, then you have a lot of kind of confidence that hiring people and having maybe a couple of rehearsals, because you're trying to save money. I always want to pay people, because as a musician who worked for people myself, I always enjoy being paid, right? So I guess I would say it's been it's also tougher than I think a lot of people would expect. Like if you have musicians, whether it's one person or an entire band, and they have to play along to tracks, that a lot of people kind of discount the effort that goes into that. Like it's a lot harder than not playing with tracks.
Yeah. How did you feel leaving the stage after you were done, though?
I mean, it was definitely a bit of a learning experience. There was a technical difficulty with my sampling machine. I had left it on just so that I could have it all set up and ready to go. And there was another band that had to play before I did. So I kind of left it there, and for whatever reason, it got unplugged, and
Oh,
so
no.
since I didn't turn it off, it didn't save in
Remember
the
what you
state that
did,
I
yeah.
exactly. So it started up. The sound guy came up. He was like, "Yo, this thing's happening." I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta fix that. Hold up a second." So that was a little bit of a vibe kill for me, but at the same time, you know, I feel like I had a big crowd there, a really supportive crowd. With the in-ears in, you don't really hear all of the feedback, but I could see people smiling and whatnot, so I just got right back into it. After the show, it was like, I mean, there's always things you think that you could do differently. I feel for a lot of artists, you're often your own
Person.
worst critic, right?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, like I got so much positive feedback, like people who were absolutely stoked about the fact that I was able to rip some drum solos and then go into singing, and a lot of people just complimenting the general vibe. There were, like industry professional delegates who I had been talking to. They told me that they could see the vision. So
Yeah.
that's, I feel like I definitely took a lot that I can use to develop my show further. And even if I like have the opportunity to hire on some other musicians or like let the tracks cover a bit of the drums here and there so I can go up and, get my groove on here and there. There's so many ways I can go. Like I felt pretty happy with the way it had gone, but also I am very excited to see where it can go.
Okay, I mean, I still have many more music questions, but let's get into Dungeons and Dragons, because that's a whole other thing
Two
you do.
topics I could talk about all day. All day.
How did you get into that, and what is a Dungeon Master?
Yeah, so it's a little less sexy than it sounds. A little. So I came back from Mount Allison about, I guess, 13 years ago. And my buddy Lukey, who I mentioned earlier, he had been playing here and there with a couple of friends. So I kind of came around to a couple of the games, a couple of the groups that he was playing with, and there was nothing particularly like consistent about any of these groups. It was all just kind of, and it was fun. Like I could see the point of the game and that I would enjoy it. But then he brought me over to his godbrother's place, who had like a really consistent group. I started playing every week with them, and I just absolutely fell in love with the idea of this like persistent world that you kind of create a character to interface with, and it happens kind of all in the theater of the mind or the imagination. But it is a game where when you have a solid group of people to play with and a good dungeon master, which Jay McKinnon, great dungeon master, it just felt so alive, and it kind of comes back to this idea of like being a part of a team, part of a crew, where everything clicks and it just is magic, for lack of a better word. But I think,
what's a Dungeon Master?
So a dungeon master is the person who runs the game. They don't have a character, but they are instead kind of in control of the
They're the
world.
Zeus of the game.
Sorry?
The Zeus?
I mean, as a dungeon master, I would say that gods are just more NPCs.
So like you're above the gods?
Exactly. There's nothing in that happens in the game without either the characters kind of willing that into existence or the dungeon master making it happen.
Okay, so what I guess what are skill sets that someone has to have to be dungeon master as good as people be like, oh, I want to come play your game.
Right. I mean, you have to be pretty imaginative, pretty creative. I think a lot of people would say storytelling, but at the same time, it's not something like the story that the game goes through is not something you want to have entire control of as a dungeon master because you want to leave room for the characters to tell their story. It's a collaborative storytelling effort. I think I end up, like professionally, I ended up doing a lot of it online. So there's a bit of like technical proficiencies that you probably want to have on a website like Roll20 or on a application like Foundry, virtual tabletops. So it's like when I initially began to play with Jay and Luke, we were all sat around a table. We ordered a pizza every time or whatnot. And everything's kind of happening almost. It's not a board game, but you might think of it like a game night, like a board game night, because it's all happening around the table. But with the virtual tabletops, that allows people to kind of log in from all across the world. So that's how I've been doing it. So you want to get good with either having the materials to kind of put out for people on the table and drawing the maps or putting the maps together with various kind of probably expensive like Dwarven Forge or whatnot. But for me, it has more so been wise to kind of build this the skills of mediation and leadership.
Right.
Because you gotta be in control of a lot of egos, for lack of a better word.
Okay, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. I want to start. What do I need to do?
Call your boy up, man. we'll get you in a game. No, I mean, if you have a group of friends to sit around a table with.
What's the least number of people to play the game?
Well, I mean, I run games for 2 people, as little as 2 other people sometimes.
Oh.
I think ideally you want to have 4 or 5 people. For me, 6, I like to have 6 because sometimes somebody might need to drop out here or there or miss a couple of sessions. I feel like 7 is probably pushing it because then, like everybody needs their time in the spotlight. So if you only have 2 or 3 hours to share, right, then having like 8 or 9 people might get a little ridiculous.
So,
although some people do it.
So 3 to 5 or 6 is the sweet spot, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say 4 or 5 people is the sweet spot.
Okay.
But it really just matters like who these people are and the group. So whatever works for like your group of friends. Like if you can get into a table that everybody is gonna be friendly for one, respectful, but there's already 6 players, like just go for it. If they're happy to have you there.
But if the story has been going on forever and then you just join, like do you start from 0 or you know what I mean? Like powers and stuff.
Yeah, so it is like so I mean a lot of people are familiar with RPGs and like this idea of like leveling and getting equipment in a game. And that all kind of comes from D&D, of course. It's like the progenitor of RPGs in the first place. But if you're joining, most tables will, like if you are joining and they're already like level 7 or whatnot, most people will give you a character at level 7. Personally, I usually start people a little bit lower and have them catch up. But
Okay.
yeah, it's usually not that big a difference.
And then there are different characters or I guess like tribes or whatever. What are some of the like which I don't know, wizard and shit.
Right,
And
like
which
the
one is the best?
classes.
Yeah, class. Yeah. And
Which one is the best?
Yeah, or not like they have god power, but like you stand a good chance of lasting long in the game.
Yeah, that's a tough question. At least, so I play a lot of 5th edition, and everything is pretty well balanced, but I think that a lot of people would say that spellcasters, so I would tend to include wizards, sorcerers, bards. Bard's
Wait, they are
my
playing
favorite
music
class.
though.
The
right?
bard?
Yeah. But their music is magic. Okay.
I love bards.
Okay.
And bards are good because you get to not only be a spellcaster, typically with a lot of magic that will help you to kind of enchant or create illusions or support your allies. But they also have typically they'll have the ability to kind of command an audience. So if you have like a room full of people and you want to convince them of something, usually having a bard on your side will help you to do just that. But in general, spellcasters are really strong because, especially as you get into higher levels, the high level spells can be pretty powerful.
Okay, see, now you're convincing me. I'll call you up. Before I let you go, there's a question I usually ask guests, and this is how I like to end the show. What is something that happened to you before you're 17 that plays a huge role in who you are today?
Yeah. I remember when I was in grade 8, so I imagine like 14, maybe 13, 14. I was in band, as I had mentioned earlier, and we had a teacher, a percussion teacher, who would come in and give us, like specialized lessons as a group of percussionists. There was like 7 of us. Shout out to Jason Hine. He was an amazing teacher, a great percussionist. He would often get us to kind of improvise a lot and jam, and I remember really falling in love with the process of improvisation and just kind of being once again part of this like tight-knit group that were all on the same page. Me and my best friend Josh at the time, like we would often we spent a lot of time just practicing and drumming in preparation or just like studying the stuff that he had taught us. So fast forward to one of our like recitals. We had this big plan to kind of put on a show that was unlike anything else that was happening at a classical like high school or junior high school band recital. So what this looked like was the grade A band was rising up. Everything's really orderly, like the first row out, second row out, third row out, then the percussionists out. But Josh and I, we were instructed to kind of start making our way, push some chairs aside, cut through everybody. And by the time they're all out, we have jumped off the front of the stage. There was a couple of mostly bins, like big plastic bins, little kind of like trash cans. And so we were just kind of running around them, and we started drumming.
Wow.
And the teacher, Mrs. Anthony, I remember everybody saying afterward, like she was just like drilling knives in the back of our skulls. Like, what are you doing? I got to introduce the percussion ensemble. And no, we're like off to the races by this point. And we had to coordinate it so that as we lock into a groove, throughout the auditorium, other members of the group will begin and they'll join in, making their way down to the front. And a couple minutes later, we're all doing our thing. I remember, I was the tallest. I was the only black kid. So I was in the center, and I remember feeling like there's this like spotlight on me as I kind of like lift up this little trash can, and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, bang, and then we all stop. And then we kind of filter out, and I think we're snapping or something. We get everybody clapping. And I remember as I was like we're leaving one by one, and as I was leaving, I remember, I don't know what I did, like I pretended to like fall through the door or something. And I just remember hearing this laugh from the entirety of the auditorium. And I remember as the last of us came through, we got the loudest, most, it was like, yeah, like that was dope, right? And I just remember thinking, okay, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to be in front of people, playing music, getting rhythmic, improvising, and preferably having like a team of people on the same page as me, and kind of leading them through this process of impressing people.
And you did that at Music Week, man. You did that at Music Week, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Okay. You did some magic at Music Week, and I'm gonna let you go with a little bit of magic of mine. Okay. Because I want to be a bard and shit.
Yes.
So you're gonna write a number between 1 and 60. Do not show me. You can point it to any of the cameras, and I'll use my magical cards to let you know what your number is. So I'm gonna look away. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm gonna try and fuck him up on this one.
Okay, it has to be between 1 and 60 though.
1 and 60.
Yeah, 1 and 60. Yeah. Okay. We good? Ready?
Oh, good.
Okay, so what card has your number? Is your number here in this card?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, is it here?
No.
Is it 19?
It's 19. It's 19.
Okay, I want to reach out about Dungeons and Dragons, but
How do you do that? What?
it's magic, yo! A bard never tells his, secrets.
All right.
Thanks so much for coming to the podcast, and thanks for all the amazing things.
Thank you very much, brother. It's good to see you.